through, the Mathilda gets through, and I know a lot of times they aren't really, or the Mathilda, for instance, isn't really paid much attention to anymore, but in this scenario, you would have thought it was a perfect fit, wow. But not until the Esmeralda came into the picture.
I can't wait. I can't wait to see it. It's our last game of the regular season here, this best of 3 between these two powerhouse teams.
Welcome
Aurora
to Mobile
fighting
Legends.
For that top 2 seed. They have to beat Team Falcons here. Will they get started in game 1 as we jump into the land of Dawn? And I gotta say too, I got a glimpse of it. I think they had 3 Purifies. They got 3 Purifies to deal with this Kalea, and they have a Matilda. Yeah, they do. So, hey, I think it's gonna be a little bit difficult here for Oakland to catch people.
Yep. Not unless they can rely on other members to force out the Purifies. Fuse there, and there is also the 1-1. So if you really want to get rid of the stacks of the crossbow of Tang, then you'll have to consider using the Purify just to keep yourself and your team safe. But other than that, yeah, if they do have all those Purifies still intact, then Ogwin might find it difficult to go for an engagement. Speaking of Ogwin.
Down to a 1/5 of his health. Doesn't need to commit anything fancy. Doesn't have his passive. They jump in. Compromising Yue. Wings by Renegade. Yue down to a 1/4 of his health. Falcon not going to force the issue.
That's a wingman right there.
Yeah.
Good job to get Yue out of a bad situation. He did have to pop Purify, but that's fine. Again, you can kind of adjust from there, but good attempt from Team Falcons.
Yep, unfortunately, he does have the Brave Smite, so he's a little more tankier than you would consider a usual Jushin not on the Brave Smite to be. So that is a good call from Aurora. But now let's see how Falcons are going to transition, because they definitely want to keep the aggression going given their lineup. And we did say that this Zask, despite it being a surprising pick, can prove to be quite annoying most of the time, especially considering the upcoming objectives.
Demonkind Renegade, find Flap TZ. He's running away, there's nowhere to go. Flap TZ gets a few more shields and survives. Ogwin doing his darndest to keep 3 back. Few holds the Pixel Brush, drops a little Johnny, and they wail away at the Turtle. Turtle now 3/4 of its health up. Where is Kyle? What's Kyle doing?
Kyle doesn't care. He doesn't want to be a part of the fight.
Edward punches 2 up, holding down the Turtle. Falcons, I'm not so sure what they're planning here. Flap Dizzy coming in! And that's long enough for them to be kept busy. Flap Dizzy still alive, stealing shields away. Ogwin punching him, kicking him, using his Genjutsu, healing them up too. What is going on? They don't want to commit. Falcons take the Turtle, and now they compromise the purple. What? They take down Demonkind as well.
What a I mean, Team Falcons win, what, 3 versus 4? They had the little Johnny, though. Maybe that helped.
I'm going to say it now. That was more impressive than Onyx winning rotation.
Like how?
We were expecting it to be annoying, but not that annoying to a point where you're actually able to keep the entire Turtle pit to yourselves without the presence of your jungler.
I felt a little bit of hesitation from Aurora. Did you not?
Yeah, I did. And which is so surprising, because if they were actually able to kill Flap, none of that would have happened. So the fact that Flap TZ even survived that whole thing up top before that all broke out was a big part of them being able to do that, pull that off, and even take some of the buffs. Oh, Edward.
2v1. Edward flickering back, no forward, and he's about to get caught here. Extra shields on Perry Bogard, the tail end of the dance. Taking him down off camera, we barely missed it. Demon Kite goes.
We didn't exactly see what happened there, but it was most likely an attempt too from Demon Kite to take away the purple, seeing that Kyle TZ was there, but for some reason Few is just always able to manage everything as the Zask.
Oh, they might try to make another play. Look at Kyle TZ here, putting pressure on Yue.
No, look down bottom. Yue pops a Crimson Beacon, but down bottom's where the action's at. Ogwin at less than half health. Marco pushing forward. It's as if Dominic didn't just drop the Zaman Force 10 seconds ago to try and take down Marco.
Yeah, he's having such a great time too. If I remember correctly, yeah, he is also on the Super Marco is also on the Master Assassin. So that's really another way of them keeping this lane intact and keeping the advantage, or somehow managing it to some extent. Because clearly, if this is what you see, in the early game, as Falcons, you're very much happy with it. The XP lane clearly is already at an advantage, so if you're able to hold out the Harith as well, and even the objectives without your jungler, that's massive for them.
All right, Flapteezy getting pulled over here. Turtle at less than half health. Flapteezy dancing. He's dancing. Turtle at a 10th. Demon Kite very low. Flapteezy secured with the Falling Star Moon. Down goes Yue and Demon Kite. 2 free kills for Falcons. Renegade circling Eagle all the way out of here. Gets a few more shields. Gets hit by the Johnny. Serves up another kill. Now Flap. Renegade falls. 3 for free. And they're not done. Edward pushed back as Falcons takes down this tier 1 up top.
Man, these nightmares.
He's still going. Flickers forward and dances around Edward's corpse.
Literally dancing.
I cannot believe this is happening. A 7-0 for Team Falcons. And it seems like Aurora isn't able to accomplish what we are expecting of them to do. Edward, even before he's able to find a target in the backlines, gets blocked off or even bursted down or even taken out by Team Falcons. And it's not like you can just go for few on the Zast because there's the Dominator's Descent. He can find a way to escape, but it's not that he's even using it defensively. It's an almost always aggressive Dominator's Descent.
Oh God, Falling Star Moon onto these two as they generate multiple shields.
Just a cutoff.
This is the Filipino cannon, man. He's a loose cannon.
He is.
Joseph, Bridget, is this a message to the world? We are Seaball. Look at how we play.
Look at this draft is basically what they're saying. I mean, you got to give it up too. Kyle Teasy, for a lot of this, has just been all over the map. I mean, look at the gap between him and Demon Kite just in the levels right now.
Yeah.
And a lot of times he's just relying.
Ogwin engages, pulls one over, and they are compromised underneath tier 1. They're dashing through, cables up, down goes DK. Traded out for by Kyle, takes quite a few hits from that turret. Marco takes to the skies, Flapteezy catches a few, in comes Ogwin to save the day. Crimson Beacon by Yue, backing off looking for a choke slam, drops Marco underneath tier 2, takes a few more hits, 2 for 2. First time for Aurora to get on the board.
Super Marco probably should have gotten away. He did not have the crossbow of Tang anymore, even if he did get to complete the step.
Oh my God! Flapteezy was done with it. Falling Star Moon, but he pays the iron price. If worth it, he says.
If Esmeralda could flex
Worth it.
and do the glorious pose, she would.
I would have thought initially it was just the lack of anti-heal from Aurora, but now that the Esmeralda's way ahead is actually so up there in terms of stats, even in terms of gold, 1K ahead of Edward, already has the Oracle too, then this is just all the more difficult for Aurora. They only have the glowing one so far, and that's in Yue. But he doesn't even get to reach Yue because even Edward seems like a target already for Flapteezy.
Yeah, he has been phenomenal on this Esmeralda. Super Marco picking up the Sea Halberd now. That's going to be a crucial item to deal with a lot of these sustainabilities coming out from Aurora. This could be a little dicey for them. Putting the pressure, Nightmare Spawn drop down under the turret, and Aurora will go ahead and clean things out. But Falcons is still there. Kyle
Hunting down Edward, forced to hang out underneath tier 2 up top. Falcons not letting up, relentless. They want to push this tier 2 in mid or bottom. Something's got to give.
Yeah, this is such a devastating situation for Aurora. You fail to get the first objective, and what did we talk about earlier in games where they lose? They have a very low contention rate when it comes to the major objectives, and that seems to be exactly what Team Falcons is able to set up in the first 8 minutes of the game. We are about to transition into the Lord, but Aurora is yet to get anything, not even a turret, not even a split is happening, and that's probably also something you could attribute to the nature of their lineup right now.
They're forced to ube this early, and if you're ubeing, you can't play the map.
Yeah, this is kind of what we saw with the whole Florin composition from the previous match, you know, and it's something that Aurora decided to go with in this composition, to play around the Matilda especially, and, you know, part of it, again, is if they can hold out. I think that's the biggest thing, because they have quite a deficit to work against right now, and this Lord is up. I'm not sure if they really want to contest this, because if they get caught out here and it looks like, you know, again, Flapteezy and Ogwin can give enough information, Kyle Teasy will just go ahead and do his thing and get his buffs, because so far it's been Team Falcons, aside from Kyle Teasy, just starting up the objectives. The Turtles early on, the Lord now. They make their way in this position. There is a wave that they have to deal with on bottom.
Yeah.
They'll send Edward there, but it looks like they're going to take this slow and steady for Team Falcons.
Yeah, let's see how they try to manage this though, because Edward is yet to get those defense items as well, if he does plan to get any, because so far he only has the Hunter Strike. So that's damage too. Ideally, if he does get to look for someone, but that doesn't seem to be what Team Falcons wants to happen. No contesting with him!
The flicker in by Ogwin starting the fight! Oh, Flapteasy caught between all the members of Aurora underneath that Salmon Force by Dominkite. They do take the Lord, but lose Flap in the process.
That's crazy. They didn't even use any Purifies.
Yep.
I'm surprised that in that exchange, they didn't have to.
Yep, it's just really them being able to sustain everything so long as they group up together, which again, in terms of managing the macro, might be somewhat of a restriction, but you can see how they're gradually able to hold things together. If ever Team Falcons doesn't get to look for the right timing, if they don't commit all at once, similar to how there was an isolated play, or similar to how Flapteasy was isolated earlier, so Aurora was just able to work on him, but they still have other things to worry about, and one of them is the upcoming Lord marching up top.
You know what's hilarious? Flapteasy isolated himself. He makes these calls and saying, "I'm going in!"
He did.
I can imagine him saying that, actually.
He's done it a couple times here. Lord's going to be dealt with pretty quickly.
Tsunami Slam on a Demon Kite. They do pop the Holy Defense. Falcons taking it slow now. I can feel that this might be a little uncomfortable for the Nest, for everyone watching, but this is the right thing to do for Falcons, you know?
Yeah.
They've slowed down on the ramp up, and Flapteasy has to respect the fact that I can't keep doing that, man.
You can't just jump into 5.
Yeah, you can, especially without the Purify. But they do have the flickers, a lot of flickers, so just one, I'd say just one opening wherein the Fuse really able to poke them down. Ogwen's able to surprise them with multiple members of Aurora getting knocked up. And Super Marco also finding the stacks onto just a single member of Aurora will mean a lot for the team fight, since they're always grouped up together. And right now, Super Marco's already approaching 10k in terms of gold and has already gotten the Malefic gun as well. So it will be slightly easier for him to reach the targets whenever necessary. But for now, Team Falcons, I agree, they do have to play the disciplined game, the route in terms of managing the way Aurora's playing the latter portions of this game.
The amount of damage and the amount of total heal that Flap is doing on this Esmeralda is pretty nuts.
He is him.
He is him right now.
Oh.
Count easy on the flank, but I don't think there's really much to follow up. And, you know, that's the thing here. You pointed this out earlier, Leo. Like, he really can't, like, no one can really just jump on in into this lineup, Aurora.
That is one of the main strengths of Aurora's lineup. Again, it's in their DNA. They like to ube. As early as what? The 7-8 minute mark, they were already ubeing, which I think, you know, stop the bleeding a little bit. But then again, it'll come to a point wherein Falcons will play the map, and that's what's scary. You're dealing with a Fanny.
Yeah.
And is that a purple steal?
Did he get it?
Who stole it?
Who got it?
Is it on DK?
I'm not sure if Demon Khan actually was, managed to get that.
Because
he's got the retribution.
Because
so.
Kyle committed to the retry.
Yeah, Kyle committed it. This Lord is up.
It's a Kyle.
Yeah, Kyle's there on the bot. Team Falcons will go ahead and start this one up. But Aurora wants to fight this, even despite them being down thousands and thousands of gold. Yeah, so he didn't get the purple buff. Demon Khan doesn't have it, so it's taken from him. Kyle might put pressure there, but Edward goes and handles that bottom. But look at the rotate happening. Super Marco and Ogwin are going too. They might go for Edward.
They're baiting the Lord, and they successfully get to it. They give Edward a Tsunami Slam plus plant him 6 feet under, and that's a pickoff for Falcons.
Oh my goodness, Aurora sent Edward to deal with the waves, probably under the assumption that it was only Kyle Teasy pressuring it.
But instead, he got dealt with.
He's the only guy with the flicker, by the way, so, you know, that was the target to go for. He did.
And he used it, and they get a free Lord. Falcons.
Feels bad, man, not to have a Purify.
Use the map against Aurora.
I was supposed to say, like, especially at this point, Aurora can really take advantage of the narrow areas wherein they can force to pick a fight. But just the same for Falcons, they didn't want to engage in any of it just yet. It was really the Lord that they were after, and a beautiful play in terms of macro, which gave them the objective. So again, it's Aurora on the defense. They have Edward back though, but given the limitations of their range, they'll have to work hard in order to defend this upcoming siege.
Dominkite commits his Zaman Force just to clear the wave. But they know there's a Lord marching up there, and all the waves are synced up. So Falcons, I think they're planning to take down like at least 2 inhibitors.
Yeah, working on this mid one. Already, Lord up top 2, they jump in.
And there's a fight. Zaman Force committed by Dominkite, but he gets popped in. A tsunami slam on the 1. Pulled in by the Wings by Wings. Turret still standing in mid, but the top lane inhibitor has fallen. Aurora still breathing.
For some reason, Kyle Teasy was able to find Dominkite and all that.
And he's still standing underneath the base. Flap Easy barely up. Gets taken down by Yue. But the base is a target. Close move, tang by Super Marco. Waves crashing through. Falcons soar and take.